created this skincare business out of nothing. Really, I was like in sober living in a closet. They converted. I was in the closet again, girl. But they had a room that had a walk-in closet that they converted into another room. And so that's where I lived, in this closet. I was so grateful for it because I was homeless. And I was just released out of the hospital. So just dropped off my baby. He's going to visit his family up north. It's always sad when he leaves. I realize how much how much joy he brings to my life, how much love and just innocence and curiosity and play and fun, all these things. I'm pretty sometimes serious and kind of like rigid and driven, something I always try to be mindful of. But when he's around, there's just like a lightness. And when he's gone, I usually just like work a lot of stuff and eat everything in the house that is still there, like soup or tuna or whatever. And I'm not he takes care of me so well. He keeps the home beautiful and clean, cooks amazing dinners, and it's both give and take, but he's definitely quite the homemaker. So I just am so grateful for him. And I don't know if you have a partner that is like that, or what you appreciate about your partner. Heading back home, and I am going to, by the way, I look super greasy because I put a whole bunch of that Charlotte Tilbury on, which I spoke about in a video recently. And I do think it's a good product for, especially after you do like a treatment or you need like a lot of like nourishment and soothing. It does help with that. Definitely other products that could work, I think, similarly, that are a fraction of the price. So I also wanted to just talk a little bit, my business has really taken off, my spa and my skincare and just everything. But it's not been overnight. I started my first skincare line in 2005, and I should probably share the story about that. It is quite interesting how I created this skincare business out of nothing. Really, I was like in sober living in a closet. They converted. I was in the closet again, girl. But they had a room that had a walk-in closet that they converted into another room. And so that's where I lived, in this closet. I was so grateful for it because I was homeless. And I was just released out of the hospital, and I found this place, and I was so grateful for it at the time. And then I always was in the back of my mind wanting to create my own line and all this stuff. And so I was studying all the essential oils and the natural stuff, and I started just making stuff for myself. I wanted a cream, a hand cream that wasn't gross and disgusting. So I started mixing up stuff. I learned basic chemistry stuff, very basic, oil water mixture kind of stuff, and how to get things to absorb and how to preserve it, basic cosmetic chemistry stuff. Ended up finding or making a formulation that I liked, that smelled good, that wasn't greasy. And I literally took that formulation and I put it in old soy packets that you get from the Chinese restaurant. Old soy packets in the Chinese restaurant, and I poured it in there, and then I burnt the end with a lighter to seal it. And then I would go to my AA meetings and I say, open up your hand. And then they're like, okay. And they'd open up their hand, and I'd squirt a little lotion in there, and I go, rub your hands together and smell that. And they would, and they're like, oh, it smells so good. I'm like, yeah, how does it feel on your hands? And they're like, oh, it feels really nice, isn't it? And I would say, what is your biggest concern when you use a hand lotion? Especially I was in Seattle, so your hands get super dry with all of the air and the cold and stuff. And then they would be like, oh, it feels really nice. I said, well, this product, it deeply hydrates, it smells great, it's natural, but it also isn't going to drop stuff. It's gonna fully absorb into the skin. And they're like, oh, I really like it, it smells great. I go, well, do you like it enough to buy it? And I sold 8 bottles, 7 or 8, I can't remember now, but 7 or 8 bottles that day of product, and I had nothing. I had no bottles, labels, company, nothing. I was just I took that order, those first orders, and had to go call my friend Michael and create labels. And I was like, what am I gonna call it? I don't even know what to call it. And I created this whole little skincare line in a week. The basis of it. And I think my point to that is to share more you know, like we figure everything out as we go. Like, you know, I think this idea of like learning something and then you apply it has its place. But like, especially in business, I think a lot of people that I coach, like entrepreneurs and business owners, they think they're going to learn this one thing and then that's the thing that's going to make them the most money or success. And really, you know, a lot of the things that we learn through trial and error and mistake, and we kind of keep just trying. And more importantly, like, ideas start to continue to come to us and we kind of figure it out as we go, instead of knowing the perfect framework or perfect system in order for us to just have, you know, everything perfectly known and it's going to work like this, and, you know, this is the thing. And so I think it's important to share that in the process of business, because, you know, like, I've been schlepping my skincare for you know, 15 years now. And, you know, some people are like, oh my God, I think your recent success is so amazing. I'm like, well, it's not recent. I've been evolving into this point, and I've had several formulation changes. I've done everything you can imagine, and have fallen down so many times, and I've wanted to quit so many times. I mean, I can't tell you. I mean, just even recently, again, 15 years later, you would think like, oh, well, you shouldn't be having those errors occur. Well, errors occur in life. It's just the way it is. And with manufacturing and labs and stuff, there's things that happen all the time that happen behind the scenes that nobody talks about. And one thing that happens is like the labels. So in 2009, I was sick of making the formulas myself. It's very difficult to stabilize something, to preserve it, and people were obsessed with my formulas back then. It was like, I just didn't feel comfortable going to that next level with them by making them in my kitchen for the amount of active agent that was in them, especially like peeling and stuff, and salicylic acid and sunscreens and stuff. So I was like, and my friend Lisa was like, oh, I want to buy your formulas and they're so amazing and blah, blah, blah. And I almost sold her the formulas and my business and everything. And I'm glad I didn't, because I was at that place of just like real frustration and surrender in my life. And I was actually, with a salon before that, and I left, and honestly, I didn't leave in the best way, and they probably still hate me, and if I could take that back, I would. But, you know, I left that salon, and they don't know this, not that it matters, but, you know, I was suicidal and depressed, and I was covering that up and hiding that, and it wasn't good for their business, it wasn't good for my business, and it was so bad. My life felt like I was at such a bottom, and I was sober. I got sober, and, you know, that's the thing about sobriety. Sometimes people don't realize either, is like, once you get sober, the work, you know, never ends and the real work begins. And I had a relapse, and then I got sober again, and then I got that job, and I had to quit. And long story short, the only solution for me was to just stop. I could not work at that place anymore. I could not do anything anymore. Like, I was at the brink of my end, and I didn't know if I was going to make it, honestly. It was a very scary time in my life. A lot of stuff from childhood started to come up. And the reason why I think it came up was because I was avoiding, and I have a habit of doing this. I avoid what is. I avoid how I'm feeling. I avoid my past pain, my grief, all of the stuff that happened to me in childhood. And I focus, and I lose myself and get distracted in work and business. And, you know, and my ego is so big, girl. It's like, it's like it needs to constantly be beat down so that I'm more humble and I'm more in that state of grace, instead of that state of constantly doing and achieving and goals and all that stuff. And so anyhow, my point to that was, when I ended up leaving that salon and going through that depression in an episode, I had to start all over. I left all my clientele there, and it's a long story that I won't go into. There's two sides to every story. I'm sure they have a different side. You know, I had to start all over, and that's when I met my partner, and I was doing facials in my living room, and I could barely do those because I was so out of it and just so like, ugh. And I don't feel it's fair to touch anyone when you're not in that state of like aliveness and gratitude. It's just, you know, that energy is transferred. So I was doing the best I could, and I started my business over and ended up finally renting a very small office, which I just moved out of, and have been growing my business there for like, you know, 7-8 years now, going on 8. And, you know, I am only where I'm at because I've just kind of not quit, and I keep going. And every time I think that I should quit, there's something inside of me that just keeps going. There's something inside of me that keeps pulling me towards just showing up every single day. So I know I said a lot this morning and I'm kind of all over the place, but I wanted to share hopefully something that would inspire you. If you have an idea, if you're trying to get something creative out of you or out into the world, like a project or a business or a product or something, you know, the ideas are great. The problem I have always had is how do you market that product and how do you sell the product so that you're, you know, covering your costs and making money. And the best advice I can tell anyone is that money should not be the main goal, but definitely a focus, because if you don't make the money, you can't continue to be successful or to continue to market that product or whatever it is. And a lot of people I'm coaching, creators like hairstylists or esthetician, therapists, you know, kind of service-based business or small businesses or skincare people, you know, they always think that people should just buy their thing and that I should be more successful by now, and I've been doing this for so long and where's my stuff. And that state of consciousness is a victim state of consciousness. It's a why me, why is this happening to me, this shouldn't be happening to me. And honey, I have a PhD in victim consciousness. It's like I know that so well. And in order to get what we want and to get to that next level, I believe that somebody told me years ago, and it's an old spiritual saying, and it's called, you're not free to go until you're free to stay. So before I moved into our new home, before I found my partner, before I found this new office, I know how this game works and how this game works in the universe, that it's not about constantly trying to manifest and attract all this stuff. That's one way to do it, but that's a very kind of, in my opinion, because I was so into that and all the law of attraction, that's still a very getting consciousness instead of an allowing consciousness. And in allowing consciousness, you know that you're going to be guided and supported, and the things that you want will come, but maybe not at the time that you think they will. But we have to open that door to that. We can't keep one door closed because only so much can come through. So my point, and I'll wrap it up, and I have had too much coffee this morning. I'm on my soapbox, girl. But is that you're not free to go until you're free to stay. So you have to try to love and accept and appreciate what you have now in order to get what you want. So if you want a bigger space, if you want more growth, if you want more sales, if you want to find love, if you want to lose weight, if you want to whatever, fill in the blank, the best state of energy to do that in is a state of allowing, a state of accepting, a state of appreciating that which you have and are currently experiencing, no matter how difficult that is. My office was tiny. My back, my body is in pain because it was so small, because I could only move so many areas, so far in this old office, and my body's now paying the price for it. But I knew I could not sit there and talk shit about that office and then find a new office. Just like in our old place, it was very small. Our last apartment was, I think, 400 square feet. Nate and I almost killed each other, but we were growing our businesses. We were paying our price. We were just living way below our means. And, you know, everybody was like, how much money do you guys make? People don't get entrepreneurs. Like, everybody wants to be an entrepreneur. Honey, there is nothing wrong with being an employee and clogging in and clogging out. Being an entrepreneur is not always very fun, and it's not glamorous. And you have to hustle, honey. And the thing about it is, I told Nate we were looking for apartments a couple of years ago, and I said, you know, babe, we have to really love and appreciate this incredible home that we've created here, or we're not going to find what we want. And if we do find what we want, but we're negative while trying to find it, we're going to find negativity in that new place. So it's like we're not free to go until we're free to stay. So whatever we got to do to become free, which is the beliefs that we're thinking, the thoughts that we're thinking, the emotions that we're feeling, is to like not be attached to those, to let go from those, and to realize they're just thoughts, feelings, and beliefs, and that we are not those things. And in that comes freedom, and in freedom comes acceptance and surrender. And in acceptance and surrender, I believe, comes the view of the horizon of the things that are actually already present and already waiting for us. Most things that we want are waiting for us. It's just we can't see them. Our view of the horizon is cloudy. And so often, like even with love, I see people all the time, and I hear it all the time, especially people I've coached with relationships and wanting to find love. They're always like, oh my God, my friend blah, 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 I'm dating. you know, after we do work on them, they become free. So they're free of their limiting beliefs of self and what they deserve, and then they start to go into that new relationship as a new person, or more of their authentic self, so that they're not taking that baggage with them. I don't know if any of that made sense. I'm talking some woo-woo stuff this morning, girl. Anyway, I love you guys so much. I felt inspired. I haven't done a vlog in a while, and I just really wanted to come out and share today, because that's how I kind of roll. I have to feel it. I have to be in that state of that flow that wants to come through me. And I might have an idea, but everything I say is off the cuff, so it comes through me. So I have to keep that channel, you know, open, and when it's feeling ready to come out is when I share it, so that I hope that it's more impactful, instead of me just sharing opinions and beliefs and stuff that really isn't all that important. What's really important, I think, is sharing that state of love and consciousness, so that people feel that, resonate with that, and feel empowered and inspired by that, instead of trying to share some kind of like framework with you and system with you, so that, you know, I'm gonna coach you and let me share with you my genius ideas. They're not my genius ideas. Every success that I have today is things that have come through me, not from me. Anyway, I love you guys so much, and have a beautiful day, and I will see you guys soon. Bye.